we will enter into the topic directly. I believe Sumi ma'am has given a brief introduction about the topic and myself. So we will uh, move on to the topic, and we will first look into the agenda, what we are going to discuss. Okay. So initially, we will just get to know in a matter of a minute or two what is Python, and after that what is full stack web development. Then after that we will be spending our next 35 to 40 minutes on the topic IMDb dataset. Okay, what is exploratory data analysis, all those things. So this is going to be the agenda for next 45 minutes or so. Okay, so having said that, many of you would have heard about Python, right? So it is one of the widely used programming languages, and it is very simple to use. Any freshers or any people who want to switch their domain from, let's say, mainframe or testing, they can easily pick up or cope up with Python. So having said all about Python, you would have already served many things, right? So you already have more details than I have about Python, right? So without letting you stay on the topic that you already know, we will get to know few things that you are yet to know. So next thing is your web development. Okay. So what is this full stack web development? It is nothing but, we will consider this with an analogy here. So hope many of you would be watching cricket, right? So now test series are on, and many will be keenly keeping an eye on test series, and India has also won few matches, right? So here, full stack web development, we can take that with an example of cricket. So in cricket, there will be few people who are named all rounders. All right. So all rounders are nothing but people who are good at batting, bowling, fielding. So you can consider all those things, right? So here in Python, whom we call as full stack developer is who is good at front end technology and as well good at back end technologies. Okay. So what is this two words, front end, back end? So here front end is nothing but you go to your Google page and you have an interface that you look at where you type your search, right? So that is what we call as user interface. Okay. So what you are seeing on your Google page, so that is user interface. So people who develop those things are what we call as front end developers. So they work on designing part of websites, for example, you can keep. Next, after that, if you just type your username password in your Facebook or Instagram page, there will be some process that will be taking in, and then you will be taken to your Instagram account, right? So here that backend process, connecting to a database, fetching your details, so all those things are taken care by backend developers. Okay, so front end, backend. So these two are what we call as full stack web developers. Okay, and here the path to become a full stack web developer, as you can see, first you have to master your fundamentals of Python. Too basic. We have to know the basics. Only then we can master the advanced level. Next, learn web frameworks like Django Flask, which will be taught to you during the sessions. Next, after that, working on real world projects. So after getting to know the fundamentals and know how to build a website, without hands-on experience and without working on real world projects, it will be very difficult for you to cope up in industry, right? So you'll have to work on some real world projects as well. That will be assigned to you during your sessions. Okay. Next, after that, teach programming and help others. So it is nothing but once I know something, it is always a best practice to help someone with, right? And it not only helps others, it also increases your knowledge on the same, right? Next, after you do the first 3 points, the next thing will be apply for a job and enter into your dream work. So this will be the path that you will be following to become a full stack web developer. And having said enough about Python, we will move on to one of the applications of your Python, and we will try to understand this concept called as exploratory data analysis. Okay. So here, in short, people call it as EDA. The full form is exploratory data analysis. It is all about analyzing your data. From the name you would have understood, it is all about analyzing your data. And for the day, we are going to take IMDb dataset, and we are going to analyze that dataset. What are all the insights that we can gather from that dataset? Which are all the highly rated movies, and which directors are giving good quality movies? So here, for a producer to produce a movie, he has to make all those analysis, right? Just like that, the producer will not give his money to a director for producing a movie. So we have to analyze what are all the previous movies the director has taken. What is the critically acclaimed movie? Which of his movies has grossed highest budget, like highest revenue? Then after that, profit. Which of the movies are higher? So all those things need to be analyzed. Only then they will invest on that movie, right? So whatever you do, you just have to analyze and then you will be proceeding. So here we are going to do that analysis with help of your Python on this IMDb data set. Okay, so this is what your EDA in short it means. So you are going to find some details, some patterns from the data set. Okay, so here how we are going to do that? That will be the next question, right? How we do that? We do that with the help of visualizations and with the help of some data analysis libraries called pandas, right? So now we will get to know what is data visualization. So obviously from the name, visualization is nothing but graphs, charts, plots. Those things are what we call as visualizations, right? So you are going to plot your data. That is what we call as data visualization. So visuals can help anyone to easily understand what that image is representing. He or she need not be a technical person to understand that, right? So here, whatever data we have, we will try to put it into charts which better represent your data. So that is what we call as data visualization. Using your visualizations, you can find some hidden patterns, what are all the trends that are available in my data. So all those things you will be able to understand. So these are few things. And after that, business managers, for example, you can take a company's mid-level management or senior level management. They analyze on the data and they take decisions what need to be done to improve their business models, right? So visualizations pave a way for larger insights about the data, and based on those insights, what decision you are going to do, and that decision makes a change in the company, right? So a small data analysis can lead to a larger difference in an organization. Okay, so these are some of the importance why we need data visualization and data analysis. And here we are going to do your visualizations and analysis with the help of few libraries that are present in Python. So here I have mentioned few libraries, but in Python you have n number of libraries that are available. But here during our course, we are going to make use of two libraries widely. One is pandas and another one is matplotlib. Apart from that, here and there we will be using plotly as well, but widely we will be using pandas and matplotlib. Okay, so these libraries help you in performing the activities for our data analysis. And one more thing is here, I have not given you any in-depth detail of what is pandas, what it is doing, all those things, because this being just an webinar about this topic, so we will just stick to the terms, not to the definitions and the use cases of it. Okay, so we will just try to learn few things about your EDA here. Okay, it is just going to be collection of information for next few minutes. Okay, so having said about your EDA, I now go to the platform where we will be working on our coding part. Okay, so enough of theory. We will start the implementation part from now on. Okay, so I will go to the part where we will be working on the coding part, which is your coding platform. So here, if you are already into programming, you would have seen this. It is Jupyter Notebook, which is widely used for your Python coding. Okay, apart from this, there are different other IDEs as well. For demo purpose, we are choosing this platform, which is your Jupyter Notebook. Okay, and one more thing before I go to the topic, as and when you have any doubts, any queries, or any thoughts, you can feel free to put it in the chat box. As and when I look into it, I will just address them. Okay, fine. So we will enter into the topic, and I'll be continuously going with the topic for next few minutes, let's say till 6:05 or 6:10. Then I will take a pass. Then I will ask from you. If you have any doubts, we can have an interaction. It is not only going to be a one-sided conversation, so we can interact as well. If you have any doubts, you can note it down. when it is time for your Q&A sessions, you can just copy paste those doubts in the chat box so that I will be answering those things as well. Okay, having said that, for next few minutes, let's look into the topic. Meanwhile, whatever I say in those things, if you have any doubts, take a note of it as well. Okay? Fine. So the next part that we are going to see is your coding part. So as I told you, we will be widely using your pandas for data analysis. So here we need to first import that package. Okay, importing is nothing but it is a way of saying I need the functionalities of pandas. That is, if you want to open your Facebook and you want to go to some pages, look into the feeds that they have. So what you will do, you will just click on Facebook and you will use it, right? So likewise here also, if you want to make use of the functionalities of these libraries, you have to first import them. Okay, so I'm first importing it. Next, I'm loading our data set, which is IMDb data set. Next, after that, I want to explore this data set, right? So how I can explore is, we have certain methods that are available in your pandas that enable us to explore our data set. Okay, so you will be doing this in your Excel, but when there are larger size of data, okay, as the size of your data increases, and also where you want to perform some automation stuffs, then definitely we need a programming language for that. Okay, so here we will be looking into few analysis about this data. What details we can gather from it, we will check. So here I am printing the top 5 values of the data set. So I have given you in comment what this is doing. So it gives you the top 5 rows. So you can see first we have Guardians of Galaxy, and here you have the title, you have the genre of movie, you have the description, you have the director's name, then the panel lists, actors details, then in which year it was released, and the total runtime of the movie, and the rating. Next, votes, number of votes were given, then what was the revenue, and what is the meta score for the movie. So you take a movie, these are the details that we have, and we are going to understand how the movie ratings are and how the revenues of the movies are generated, and in each year how many movies are released, and what are all the best movies of directors. So all those things we are going to understand from this data set. So if I give df.head, it gives you the top 5 values. Likewise, if it is head, there has to be a tail, right? So you give df.tail, it will give you the bottom 5 values. So in this data set, we are having total 999 rows of data. Okay, so these are the total data counts, that is the rows of data that we are having. Okay, so it is taken from IMDb. So these 1000 data, okay, we can consider as 1000 rows of data we are having. Okay, obviously we have more than 1000 movies, but here for our example purpose, we are just going to understand on these 1000 rows of data. And if you give shape, it will tell you the number of rows that you have and the number of columns that you have. So the number of rows is 1000, number of columns are 12. So you have 1000 rows and 12 columns. And here, what are all the column names? If you want to check, you can use this method called as columns. So these are the column names that I have. So on top, I have explained you column by column, right? So here, if I want to look into only the column names, then I can use this method. Then this is one of the important methods from which you can understand many details about the data set. Okay, so we will understand what are all the insights that we are gathering. So here it is nothing but describe. So describe gives you the summary statistics of your data. So what is this summary statistics? So in short, summary means it is nothing but what is the content that is available big, you try to put it in a shorter way. That is what we call as summary, right? So people might be using these terms very often. Summarize this in 2 minutes. It is nothing but what idea you have in large, they ask you to summarize in a shorter time. So here also the same thing. Describe gives you the summary statistics. It is nothing but it is going to give you the count, mean, median, minimum value, maximum value of each of your columns, which are numbered data. Okay, so from this you will be able to understand what is the minimum value, what is the maximum value, all those things you will be able to understand. So here the revenue, minimum revenue is, sorry, the revenue here you have the minimum revenue is 82 million, and the maximum is 936 million. Okay, and the number of ratings. So the minimum rating, you can see it is 1.9, maximum rating is 9. And if you are a person who has been constantly using IMDb for IMDb datasets for checking your reviews, you know, Shashank Redemption is in the top of the list from last many years, right? So that is one of the favorite movies of many of us, right? Though it goes slow, the movie is one of, like, you can call a cult classic movies, right? So here we are having few basic details. From this, what are all the other details that I can gather? So from this table, what insights we have gathered are the minimum and maximum values in year depicts the minimum and maximum release year. So here what years we are taking? So we are taking the year from 2012 till 2016. We have the movie details. So in this range, what are all the movies that were released? We are taking only those movie details. Okay. So 2012 to 2016. Next, we can see the dataset contains movies of 2006 to 2016. Okay. Next, after that, the ratings we have seen here, right? So the minimum rating was 1.9. Next, after that, the maximum rating was 9. So what are all the things that we have observed from this data? We are just keeping that. Okay. And as I have told you here, I just took the mean value, but the minimum value is 2006. Okay. The year is 2006 to 2016. Here about 10 years of data we are taking. Next, you can see the minimum revenue and maximum revenue. As I told you, the maximum revenue is 936 million. And the minimum was your 0. Maybe for that movie, there was no revenue details that is available. So it does not mean that the movie did not collect any review. Maybe that could be a value that may not be available. Okay. So here, not available values, they can even mention it as 0 at times. Okay. It depends on the data. At times it will be considered as 0 as well if the values are not available. Okay. So here next what I'm doing is, in this, if you look at this data set, your index value. So here, this is what we call as index, 995, 996, we call it as index. So I don't want this as numbers. I want my title of movie to be present as my index. Okay, title of the movie should be index. That is, each row will be represented by a number in your Excel, right? 0, 1, 2. So here I want to represent it by my title of the movie. So what I'm doing is I'm just changing my data set and I'm keeping the index as my column title. So here you can see earlier it was 0, 1, 2, that were the index. Now it is changed with the movie names. So Guardians of Galaxy is your 0th index. That is the title of this movie is Guardians of Galaxy. And you can see it is an action, adventure and science fiction movie. The description of the movie is present here. Likewise, you have many data. So I just changed the index from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 to your name of the movie. And if I want to extract few details from my data, okay, few details from the data. So what we can do is we have certain methods called as lock, iLock, which are used for helping us in extracting data from your data set. So that we are having 1000 rows, right? So here I will not be working on all the 1000 rows or all the 1000 columns. Suppose let's say I want to work on only few set of movies. So how can I do that? Or if I have to work on only top 100 rows of data, how can I do that? So all these things can be done using your iLock method and lock method. So here what I'm doing is I'm taking the movie called Suicide Squad. Okay, so obviously everyone will be aware of Suicide Squad, right? It is one of the DC movies and a part of it was released in this year as well, months back. And I'm taking the details of Suicide Squad, which is your index detail, and these are the column names that I'm taking. So I'm just taking the genre of the movie, who are the actors of the movie, then who's the director, what is the rating and the revenue. So here you can see I'm getting Suicide Squad, and it is an action adventure fantasy movie. So the actors are Will Smith and Margot Robbie. Everyone knows these two people, very famous, right? And after that, the director was David Ayer. Next, after that, the rating was 6.2. So though it is one of the low rated movie, it was also very famous at the time of release, right? Because DC movie. So we call it as DC Universe, Marvel Universe, right? So it was one of the famous movie that got released, and you can see it has generated a revenue of $325 million. Okay, so likewise, you can take any movie and you can check on its detail, or if you want to check on certain rows of data, that is from 10th till 14th row, I want to take the data and I want to check on it. So what are all the titles, what are all the revenues? So you can see you can filter your data as well. We call it as slicing and dicing. So you can filter your data, slice it, you can sort it, you can do any sort of operation here. Okay. So next part that we are going to do is I want to check from the year 2010 to 2016. Okay, which are all the movies that were having rating less than 6 but had a good revenue. Okay, so you can see some movies will be having lesser rating, but the revenue generated by the movie will be large, because for that particular franchise or for that particular hero there will be a larger fan base, right? So you obviously know this because those factors also play a major role. The plot of the movie might be a crap, it will have nothing in the plot, or neither the screenplay would also be very poor, but still the movie will be doing good in the box office because of the franchise is nothing but part 1, part 2, part 3 they give, right? Or it might be because of the hero who has acted in that movie, so it will at least collect some revenue. So here what I'm checking is from the year 2010 to 2016, which are all the movies that had lesser rating but their revenues were good. So here you can see one movie is falling there, which is Twilight Saga. So I hope everyone is aware of Twilight series, right? So we have more than 5+ parts in that franchise, Twilight franchise, right? So it is one of the favorite movies of many people, right? So though you can see the IMDb rating of the movie is only 4.9, you can see very less rating, but still you can see it has generated 300 million, that too in the year 2010, right? So 11 years back, though the rating was very poor, you can see it was managing to get a good revenue. 300 million is definitely not a small figure. Though the rating is small, the revenue generated by it is good. Okay, so this is what we are using for analysis, and you can see here your team looks into all these things into consideration. So here we are taking a data set that you can better relate to. The same way you have to relate to your industry data set as well. Okay, so what data you are having, what sort of analysis can I make? So all those things you need to understand it very clearly. So you can see the description. What you have observed is Twilight Saga that topped the box office despite having the rating lower. Okay, next we have something called as group by. So group by is nothing but you are trying to combine your data. That is what we call as group by. So here I'm combining the director's movies and I'm checking the average rating for their movies. Okay, I'm combining the director's movies and taking the average rating. So here you have Amir Khan. You might think, is Amir Khan even a director? He's an actor, right? But he has directed a movie called Tare Zameen Par, I think, right? Hindi movie. So I hope many would have watched that movie as well. So that is one of his movies. So here he has directed, I think, only one movie, if I'm not wrong. And that movie was a critically acclaimed movie. And it is also one of the top rated movies. Okay. So here you can see his movie is topping the chart, because it might be because he has directed only one movie and that movie has got the highest rating. And even you take the average, it will be the same, right? What if a director has directed more than 10 movies? So for him, obviously, depending on the movie ratings, the average might vary, right? So here, as per our data, Amir Khan is topping the chart of directors with highest average ratings. Okay, so here you can even sort the data. Okay, even if you want, you can sort, all those things can be done. But here I just print the top 5 values. In the top 5 values only I'm considering. Okay, as I told you on top, it gives you top 5 values. In top 5 values, Amir Khan is topping the chart. Apart from that, there could be other directors as well. Okay, but here we are just restricting to small data. As if I print all the data, visualizing those data will be difficult. I have to scroll up and down to check. So I'm just limiting the resource here. Next, after that, I'm going to sort the data. So on top, as I told you, in the top 5 values, Amir Khan is one of the best directors that was having the average rating. Now, when I sort, what happens? You can see there are many other directors who are having good average rating than Amir Khan, but still he is topping the chart in top 5 positions, right? So though it was one movie, that movie is one of the good movies of that particular year, and it managed to shine well in the box office as well, right? So these details you can see. And after that, if I am being a producer and I want to join my hands with a director, so obviously I will be going with a director who has given good movies with good ratings and with good revenue generation also, right? So here, based on my understanding, Nitish Tiwari, let's say his name, as of now, his movies are having good ratings. Okay, Nitish Tiwari. One thing, one name we will note it down. Okay, fine. Next, you can see Christopher Nolan. Many of you would have heard about Christopher Nolan, right? So, for his movies, what you have to do? You have to take your physics book, you have to take your thesaurus, you have to take your Oxford dictionary, then you have to go for his movie, right? So I still remember when I went for Interstellar. So they started speaking about black hole. They started talking about dimensions. So it was completely. I was like, I was flattered. Okay, I did not understand in first place. So Christopher Nolan movies, Inception. Then after that, Interstellar. I watched 2 or 3 times to understand his movies. Though it is considered as one of the though he is considered as one of the top directors, but still his movies are way beyond time, right? So he is also one among the top directors. Next, after that, we will go with another one concept of your EDA, which is missing values. So on top, as I told you, your one of your film's revenue was 0, right? As I told you, it could be because that value may not be available, so they would have put it as 0. I told you, right? Likewise, there are some values that may not be available at all. Even they will not be mentioning it as 0. It will be just kept empty. So that is what we call as missing values. So as you can see here, for revenue and Metascore, so 128 movies do not have revenues and 64 movies do not have Metascores. Okay, so these sort of data will also be there, and there are multiple ways with which we can tackle these data. Okay, so what are all those ways? We will try to discuss few methods that can be used. Okay, so first is I'm going to drop those missing values. Okay, I'm just going to show you multiple ways. So I can drop the missing values. That is one thing. Okay, or what we can do is there are other formats that you can do as well. You can fill the missing value with the mean value. So you will have a mean score for that revenue or for that Metascore, right? You can replace it with the mean value, and you can ask me, how can I go with the mean value? Rather than having no values there, at least you can replace it with the average value. And average is considered as one of the best metrics by far. Why? Because you can take your life as example. In many of your many of the scenarios that you have faced in your life, people will be using these terms. So here, this class performs in an average compared to the other class. It is very average. It is nothing but the students are not performing too good or not too bad. They are in a minimum category. Then after that, if you are a college student, or if you are planning to join a college, you will join a college that has good average placement record, right? The average placement of this particular company is of this particular college is 8 lakhs, 9 lakhs. So average salary is 9 lakhs for that particular placement in that college. So in many of the places, average is used as a metric. He is an average student. Average student in the sense, he'll be getting marks, not too good, not too bad, but he is good at somewhat okay in studies, right? So we can replace your missing values with average. So all those things can be done here. Next, after so this is just the data being displayed. Okay, so for this I have just given this method. The data is being displayed, so that's why I'm scrolling it. Next, after that, you can drop your missing values completely. Okay, so Here, if certain rows or columns are having missing values, those things can be dropped. That is one way. And after that, you can keep the threshold also. Threshold is nothing but if I have this much missing value, it is okay to have. That is what we call as threshold, right? So if I'm having 6 missing values, it is okay. I will keep it. If any row or column is having missing value above 6, that will be removed. Okay, so that is what this threshold means. Next, after that, here, as I told you, I'm taking the mean value of your revenue. So revenue had near about 128 values that are missing, right? So I have shown you two ways. One is dropping and another one is keeping a threshold and then dropping. So here we are not going to drop your data. Instead, we are going to replace your missing value with the mean value. So here, as you can see, the mean value of revenue is 82. So wherever I have my missing value, I'm filling it with the mean value. So you can see I've used fill NA. Fill NA is nothing but you are filling your not available values. NA means not available. You are filling your not available value with the mean value. So very simple, right? So far, I believe you are able to follow. So these are few basic analysis that we will be doing. And also, if you want to rate your movies, so suppose let's say any movie that is having a rating above 7.5, I call it as good movie. Any movie that is having rating greater than or equal to 6.0, you call it as average. Anything that any data that do not fall in the above two criteria, as you call it as bad movie. So those things also you can rate your movie. So you can see good, average. So in this only good and average are coming because I have printed only top 5 values. Even the other movies could be bad. All those things are also there. Okay. So you are just giving these details for your understanding. Next, after that, what we are going to discuss is having said enough about tabular data. I also spoke about visualizations, right? So we will also look into a few visualizations. So for visualizations, I told you we'll be using a library called as matplotlib, right? So far we have worked on this pandas. So if you recollect what we did, whatever you do in your Excel, we did the same operations here as well, right? But the main objective here is to automate your task. Okay, so that is why we go to programming language, which is preferably your Python, which is widely used for your data analysis. Okay, so before moving to our diagrammatic part where we visualize our data, okay, so as I told you, I will take up some questions as and when it is posted. So as of now, I don't see any questions. I leave the forum for you for next a minute or two. If you have any questions, you can feel free to post it in the chat box. I will answer. So time is now 6:15. You can keep a buffer time of 1 minute. Okay, if you have any questions, you can post it, if at all you have any. Okay, so it's nearly been like 10 to 15 seconds. I don't see any questions. So we do not want to spend time here. So I believe so far it is clear to everyone. So I assume that and I move forward. If at all any questions are put, I will just answer it after completing this. Okay. So here, having said much about detailing by analyzing your data in tabular format, the best way to analyze your data is in visualization format, right? So what we will do is we will fill. Okay, we have a question. Let me just answer it. So can I use frequency in filling the null values? So frequency in the sense you are asking about mode, I think. Okay, so I told about mean. So you are asking about mode. Mode is what we represent as frequency of your data. So here you can also use your mode way of filling for categorical data. Okay, so there are two types of data, continuous data and categorical data. So for your categorical data, you can use your mode. Okay, so hope that answers your question. Suppose, for example, if you are not sure what is categorical data, I have male and female. So male is one category, female is one category, right? So if I have missing value in this gender, what I can do is which gender is occurring the most, male or female. So let's say female is occurring more times. So you will replace your missing values with a highly repeating value, which is mentioned in the chat box as frequency. So in categorical data, you can make use of your frequency to replace. Okay. And next is best possible way to fill null values so that can we get better result. Yes, that is also one of the scenarios. So you can fill your missing values to get some better results. Yes, that is also a way. Yes, you are right. Okay. So I believe 2 questions that are put in the chat box, I have answered them. So we can move forward. Find the next part is visualization, right? So here what I'm going to do is your name of the movies are like this, like the column names are like this, the runtime minutes. So I'm just changing it to this. I'm just ignoring the brackets because in your column names understanding, having brackets, all these things, if you type it, it will be difficult because when I say runtime minutes, you will just type runtime minutes. You will not keep in mind the brackets and all, right? So it is always a best practice to have the column names in some required format. So I'm just changing them. Okay. So here, this code I have just commented it. So we are not going to discuss on that. We will move forward. So each director, how much movies they have directed. Okay. So you can see Scott has directed 8 movies. Yates have directed 6 movies. Likewise, you have the director names and you have the number of movies that they have directed here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pie chart of top 10 directors. Okay. And you can see these are the top 10 directors who had the highest movies that were directed by them. So I have told you Scott, Yetis, all those names are present, and you can see out of 100 how much each director is contributing. So every director is contributing at least 8%, and you can see the highest contributor is Scott, 14.0%. So here what I can say is Scott has directed more number of movies. So you can even call that as experience as well. So Scott has more experience with regards to directing. Next, after that, what I'm doing is based on actors. So you can see these are the actors who had acted more number of movies. So on top, we have seen the directors. Here I'm looking for your actors. So just by looking into it, you can see there are many actors that are falling in this part. So here we can understand which category of actors. You can see 14.3 again, Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, then Liam Hemsworth, then Woody Harrelson. They are contributing more. That is, they have acted more number of movies, right? For directors, we have seen for actors. Next, in which year more number of movies got released? So in the year 2016, more number of movies got released, and you can see it is in an order of increasing. You can see year on year the number of movies that we have are getting increased. Okay. Next, after that, the runtime of movies I'm taking. So if you are having a movie, so which are all the top 10 movies that have highest runtime. So here everywhere I'm taking top 10 only. You can see here I have filtered out that top 10 movies only I'm taking. Okay. So here you can see these are the movie details that are having top 10 runtimes. Okay. And this movie contributes. You can see 117 runtime. 10% of the movies have the runtime as 117, and 100 movies have runtime as 10. That is 10.8% of movies have runtime as 100. So likewise, this pie chart is formulated. Next, after that, you can see the average runtime is 113. And you want to see the distribution of your runtime. Distribution is how the runtime of a movie is present in the form of a histogram. So you can see this is how the movie runtime is distributed. So you can see here, you have some values that are present from left to right. So you can see the movie average time is starting from 60 minutes. The minimum duration is from 60 minutes. And the maximum duration is going till 200 minutes. That is near about 3 hours, 20 minutes or so, right? And from this, the average will be the middle value, which will be present. So that's what I have printed here, the average value. Okay, if you look here, I have printed the average, which is 113. So from this image, you can see between 10 to 100 to 120, you have the highest peak. So usually where the peak is, there will be your mean value, which is average. So here 113, it is mentioned by the method that we have used. And you can see in between your 100 and 120 will be your mean value that will be present. So here we are just plotting it to understand how the distribution of your movie runtime is. So average movie runtime is 115, that is 115 minutes. Okay, that is near about 2 hours. So obviously, most of your foreign language movies will not be long duration. So where in India we have movies that will be like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, but there mostly the movies will be ranging 1.5 hours to 2 hours, most of the movies. All right. So apart from that, if you ignore DC movies or Marvel movies and then Christopher Nolan movies, their movies will be 2.5 hours, even 3 hours we have seen. But usual runtime of your foreign language movies will be 1 hour, 1.5 hours to 2 hours, right? So that is what is portrayed here from this image. The mean is near about 115 minutes. So mean is 115 in the sense most of the movies fall in that particular range. Next, after that, based on your ratings, we are going to just order your data. So you can see I'm ordering it based on your descending order. So the movie that has the ratings, you can see I'm just sorting it. You can see Dark Knight. So obviously everyone will be aware of Dark Knight. It is one of the movies directed by Christopher Nolan. And again, next one is Inception. It is also a movie by Christopher Nolan. So you can see top 2 movies here are directed by Christopher Nolan. And as you can see here at the bottom, I just printed top 10 values. So you have Tare Zameen Par. As I told you, it is a movie that was directed by Amir Khan, and it was released in the year 2007, and the rating is 88.5. Right. So I've just printed the movies that are in descending order. Descending order means highest to lowest. So this movie, Tare Zameen Par, is one of the top 10 rated movies based on our data set, not based on IMDb, based on the IMDb data set that we have extracted. Okay. So having said that, we will move further. Next, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for ratings greater than 0 and ratings less than 3. That is which are all the poorly rated movies. Okay. So you can see these 3 movies are poorly rated movies. So their ratings, you can see it is 2.7, 1.9, 2.7. So the ratings are very low. And you can look into the directors who have directed the movie, so that being a producer, you will not give a chance to put your money in stake by taking them as your directors. Next, movies that are having rating greater than 3 and less than 7. So you can see Suicide Squad, The Great Wall. So these are the movies that have these ratings. And next, after that, revenues. Which are all the movies that have generated more revenues? So here I'm plotting it in your descending order again. So obviously everyone would have heard of Star Wars, right? So though I'm not a big fan, but in US you have a great fan following for this franchise, right? So here Star Wars is one of the highest revenue generating movies. So on top, while loading the data set, I told you, right? So 936.63 million was the revenue. But here it is only till 2016, right? So after 2016, we had many movies which had crossed that revenue collections, right? But here our data set is from 2006 to 2016. That too only limited movies we are taking. Okay. And after this, I'm just plotting the movies based on the revenues. So here what I'm doing is I'm taking my title and revenue of the movie, and then I'm sorting them based on revenues here. Then I'm plotting it based on my descending order. Okay, so I'm plotting a pie chart here. So these are visualizations that can be done using your Python. Okay, so here I have not taken any advanced visualizations for our discussions. So basic pie chart that you already know, then histogram that you already know. Apart from that, there are other advanced visualizations also that can be done. Okay, so here we are just restricting to few basic visualizations for this demo. Okay, and I see I have some questions in chat box. Let me try to answer them. So if the data set is too large, like more than a GB, will Python see here? It is not about taking a data set of 1 GB. So how can you have a data set of 1 GB? You will not be having those in file format. You will be having it in a database. Okay, first that you have to understand. No file will be in the size of GB. Excel files, even if it is in 30 MB, the Excel files will take some time to load. So when you are talking about GB of file size, it is not a file, it will be a database. First, you have to understand that. So from database, you can query and you can take the selective data. That is particular range of data that you want to analyze. You can take that and you can analyze your data. It is not like I have 20 lakh rows of data. I'll be performing my analysis on 20 lakh rows of data. So I have certain ranges. I have some targets. So based on that only we will perform our analysis. Okay. Next question is, if the data set is too